Assalamu alaikum, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching us. It's my honor and privilege to welcome people at the forum of PPDCIC Day 6. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have our keynote speaker with us. Let me walk you through his bio note once, which is, I mean, a big deal. Speaking of this personality can take me hours and hours, but let's have a brief overview. Dr. Ghulam Ali Buriro has transformed thousands of lives as a classroom teacher and certified TESOL educator for the last 26 years. He's one of the renowned academic and motivational speakers in Asia. He is a dynamic personality and a highly sought after resource in ELT world. Dr. Buriro's straight from the heart passion, spirit, and high energy level motivate audiences to move beyond their ordinary limits and reach extraordinary goals. And that's what we'll witness right away today. Dr. Buriro's super perceptive intelligence enables him to use his creativity to inspire and train his students to learn more fondly. He creates some unforgettable experiences that take his students to another level and stay with them in form of lifelong learning for almost as long as they live. He works as an assistant professor at Institute of English Language and Literature, University of St. Jamshoro. He has, to his credit, PhD in linguistics, 1-year certificate course in ELT from Cambridge University, UK, IVLP with a diploma in civic education from International Institute of Education, Los Angeles, USA, work experience in UAE institutions, 63 research publications, impressive community service track record, partial presenting at multilingual of national and international community. He has been conducting a lot of virtual and on-site conferences, webinars, and demonstration teaching festivals. 31 years teaching experience with 20 years research, including editorship, 10 years experience in the administration, and rare privilege of motivating, mentoring, and inspiring a wide array of cross-continental audiences. He has also remained founder, general secretary of Pakistan-US Alumni Association, PWAN, that's what we call, Jamshoro chapter. His areas of interest include both, but are not limited to, EFL speaking anxiety, TESOL pedagogy, English language teaching practice, ELT material development, life skills, reflective practice, learner autonomy, which is a very close topic to my heart, and ELT research. Dr. Buriro is also proud recipient of multiple international recognitions. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have our keynote speaker with us, Dr. Ghulam Ali Buriro. I'm really honored and humbled that I have got a chance to introduce him to all of you. Sir, thank you very much for sparing time for us today. And I'm really honored and privileged to introduce you to the audience of PPDCI.
Thank you very much, Ms. Anna. Despite all the laurels that you had the honor of reading out, I've still not been able to impress my wife. This is one thing which I cannot really wear as a badge.
Sir, that's a real challenge to every gentleman.
But thank you very much. First of all, I will begin in the name of Almighty Allah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nomadahu wa nusalli alayhi ala Rasul al-Kareem. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Next, I would be extending my heartfelt congratulations and felicitations to you. I wish someday I call you doctor, but today allow me to call you Madam Hina Kafil Ahmad for becoming who you have become, for becoming an international celebrity, for becoming a trusted name in the academic world all around the world, especially in Asia and Pakistan. My heart and my chest inflates with pride, honestly speaking, when I get to see you so fluently and taking this international, podium and serving people and contributing to the academic world in such a significant way, in such a fascinating way, in such a sizable way as you have been doing. Having said that, I would now be focusing on my presentation today, and I would be extending my warm greetings and personal regards to everyone who is in loop with me now, to whose ears my voice is reaching out, every single girl and boy, every single man and woman, every single male and female, every single scholar who I respect from the core of my heart. Thank you very much for your benign and gracious presence in today's talk. I'll try to humbly contribute a small thing that I have in my mind today. Today, actually, the nucleus of my talk is cross-cultural communicative competence. Though I say that we are need to integrate, it's a disintegrated world in a way that we have our biases, that we have our compartmentalizations, that we have our prejudices, that we have our priorities, that somehow, despite being together on a virtual platform and despite this being a global city, a global village, we still have so much of problems of ego, so much of problems of communication, so much of problems of getting to one another. We have been able to conquer the moon, but somehow we have not really been able to cross over the street and say hello to an alien person. So I would today be talking about how we can become more effective, more forceful, and more result-oriented, communicators when we get to communicate and work in a multicultural context. So I would request you to kindly change the slide. Now this slide shows all different faces. I chose happy faces because I personally try to traverse through all the troubles in life. The tribulations are there, the inflictions are there, the pains are there. But we as humans, the life is tough, but we need to be tougher. We need to look up in the eye of the grief and we say, yes, I'm there. You really can't defeat me. You cannot defeat my nerve. You cannot defeat my caliber. You can never defeat my competence. You can never defeat my strength of mind and resilience. So this is how I say, these are people from all different cultures. And in today's corporate world, in today's world of all virtual world, social media world, we just don't need to communicate with every other person from our own geographical location, but we have to reach out to the world audiences, international audiences, widest possible audiences. And this is where cross-cultural communication, becomes a very, very important, significant matter. Next, ma'am, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 has turned the world literally virtual, rendering it into a melting pot. Now, this has become a melting pot of people, of places, of time zones, of learning styles, cultures, continents, communities, cuisines, and ethnicities. All this melt up. Now the lines between reality and virtuality have started blurring. And this entire scenario is actually leading us to a shared, inevitable, and ever greater global need to integrate, adjust, and accommodate one another to be able to survive, not only to survive, but also to thrive in the given digital version of life. Our life has gone upside down. We are no longer the same people, and we just don't belong to one single place. And as you heard Madam Hina saying good morning, good afternoon, good night. Why? Because we never know who has joined us from where. This virtual world has actually blurred all these differences and distinctions. And we have come to be one set of people, one population. Either we like it or not. We may rejoice or relish it, or we may bemoan it, we may lament it. But the reality remains that we now have to survive together in a single thread. Our life has become a shared life. Next, ma'am. Now, I would share the rationale of this presentation. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, we must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Given the pressing global problems facing humankind in the 21st century, this statement has never been more relevant. So, what is necessary for people from different backgrounds to learn to live together? So the call of the day is, let us all learn to live together. And for us to be able to live together in harmony, in peace, and understanding, we need to improve our cross-cultural communication skills. That exactly is the rationale behind me, for me. That was the motivation for me to build and prepare this presentation. Next, please. See that this slide reflects what I earlier said. Different styles, different language, different ethnicities, different religion, different experiences, all different perspectives, different nationalities, different cultures, different races, different genders, different sexes, different skills. But then out of this jigsaw, we'll have to come together as one. We'll have to overcome all these differences by the power of will, by the power of vision, by the power of knowledge, by the power of wisdom, by the power of understanding, by the power of cross-cultural communication, because what will be the tool to bring us closer? We get to know our cultures more intimately, more fondly, more affectionately. If we improve our understanding of the cultures of other people and the style of the people and the way they live, only then we'll be able to come closer by hearts, come closer by minds, come closer by that understanding, and it will bind us together in one human race. And we will be able to complement one another's accomplishments and achievements. Otherwise, we will stay divided. Otherwise, we will stay disintegrated. Otherwise, we'll not be able to integrate with one another. Otherwise, we'll not really be able to complicate one another's strengths, one another's abilities, one another's wisdom, one another's knowledge. That would be possible only through the powerful tool of competence and cross-cultural communication. So I'll never tire of underlining and accentuating the importance of cross-cultural competence, so that we may be able to communicate in a way that we appreciate our differences. We must learn to honor and respect individual differences, all cultural differences. And this is not something which is impossible. Even the very word impossible, if you break it down, says, I am possible. I am possible. So everything is possible if we have that fire within us, if we have that inferno burning inside us, if we have the power of will, and if we have the power of cross-cultural communication competence. Next, please. Thank you very much. Now, cross-cultural communication competence is what? It is our ability to function effectively across cultures, to think and act appropriately, and to communicate and work with people from different cultural backgrounds, either at home, in our own home country, or when we be working anywhere in the world. Now, this is actually our ability. And now, the next slide, please. I continue with the basic definition of cross-cultural communication. This C stands for cross-cultural communication competence. It's also the ability to relate. How far we relate with one another. Do we continue to be aliens to one another? Do we continue to be foreigners to one another? Do we connect on emotional level, on psychological level, on human level, on temperamental level, on cultural level? All these connections are very important in life, and for all of us to move together as a cohesive whole, as humanity, as people. So it's the ability to relate and communicate effectively when individuals involved in the interaction do not share the same culture. We may not be sharing the same culture. We may still retain, hold on our own culture. We may keep relishing it. We may keep rejoicing it. We may keep being very proud of what our culture is, but still at the same time, we should also be able to appreciate the culture of other people, ethnicities, languages, or all other such common experiences. Now, if we have this ability, we will then be, of course, be able to learn to love one another, learn to live with one another. We would learn to forget so that we are able to forgive. If we don't forget, we can't forgive. If we can't forgive, we can't love. If we can't love, we cannot live. As simple as that. That's it. The same slide. These are the dimensions of diversity. These are the times of diversity. And we need to find that unity in diversity. And that unity and diversity would be possible only through the means of, only through the apparatus of cross-cultural communication competence. These are all different blocks. Each block says a different diversity of all of us. But still, see, look at the image. There are different colors. There are different arms. There are different cultures. There are different communities. There are different religions. There are different economic priorities. There are different sexual orientations. There are different appearances, but still, there's so much that is common among us. And that common and shared heritage, human heritage is what is to be celebrated through cross-cultural communication competence. Next, please. What exactly is the origin of this concept? Among other things, cultural competence is an outcome of a final report of research project conducted by the Federation of the Experiment in International Living, with the funding support from the Center for Social Development at Washington University in St. Louis, USA. Prepared by Dr. Alvino Fantini, Research Project Director and Educational Consultant, Federation of EIL. EIL member countries include Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Ecuador, France, Germany, Ghana, Great Britain, India, Ireland, Italy, Japan, and Mexico, Morocco, New Zealand, and Nepal. Now, all these countries, people from these researchers from these countries came together, and that project was funded by the Washington University, and it was carried out, as I told you the names, Dr. Alvino Fantini. So this is the origin and source of this rich resource of cultural communication. Next, please. Thank you very much. What exactly are the attributes, are dimensions, are aspects, are facets of cross-cultural communication competence? The attributes are as follows. Number one is empathy. We really cannot be cross-culturally competent if we don't have that endless reservoir of empathy inside our thinking, in our minds. The second is open-mindedness. The third is tolerance of ambiguity, passions. What do I mean by this? For example, you are interacting with a person from Singapore. You are interacting with a person from Ghana. You are interacting with a person from Palestine. You are interacting with a person from Jordan. You are interacting with a person from France. And initially, in your initial interaction, you're not really able to figure out what exactly it is that other person is hitting at, what other person is trying to convey. In that such situations, as a part of cross-cultural communication competence, we need to display passions. We should not be rushing up at people. The more passionate we are, the more understanding we will be. So ambiguity should be welcome. It should not be disposed of. It should not be dismissed. It should not be terminated. It should not be disliked. It should not be scorned. It should not be looked at with contempt. Instead, we need to welcome that ambiguity and should take it as a natural part of a transaction and communication, because once we're communicating with a person of a different culture at the initial stage, in the first few days, it would be difficult for us exactly to know how and what the other person is trying to tell us. Another aspect is positivity. We must never be looking down upon the culture of anyone in this world. And then after positivity, we should have acceptance for people, places, sights, and sounds. Willingness to absorb the culture. If there is no willingness, we will not really be able to accept the culture of other people. We need to raise the bar of our willingness. We should be more willing, more volunteering, more accommodative, more inclusive, more eager to learn about the culture of all other people. And we should also be willing to learn. We should be willing to try new things. I tell you honestly, when I've been to Thailand for 7-8 times, and right from time one when I'd gone there, I started exploring their food, their culture, their festivals, Songkran and all other things, how they live, what exactly are their ways, what do they mind, what do they don't mind, what do they rejoice, what do they enjoy. And I've got into Thai food, and I'm now biggest connoisseur, a keen eater of all Thai food, and it saves so much of my money and it brings me closer to people living in Thailand. And when I worked in Dubai, I had, a feeling for all that, rose bukhara and falafel and so many other shawarmas and every other food, culture, dressing. I used to wear a jubba when I was in Dubai because I wanted to be a part of that culture, and it won me so many lifelong, long-standing friendships. I still have so many friends who love me. I adore them. So we can come close together by accepting the differences in our cultures, by exploring one another's cultures. And we should also be prepared not to demand one's own standards. We need to be flexible. I should not be insisting upon my Singaporean friend. I should not be speaking upon my British friend to do all things the way we do in Pakistan. Neither he or she should be forcing her own culture and perspectives and practices on me. We need to learn to enjoy and learn and relish one another's, standards and cultures and norms. So, not quick. I'm sorry I cannot respond to the comments that are flashing on my screen, but most of them are absolutely correct. And I thank you very much, all respected members in the audience, to be this attentive, to be this responsive, to be this alert, to be this focused, and for lending me such a loving, attentive ear. And also, I encourage you to please keep on commenting, because your comments show that you are deeply interested in what I'm gonna tell you, share with you. I'm not here to teach you. We are here to share something with one another. And I'm just only honestly trying to be of some service to you, so that you people might, if at all, if you could pick up a few things that would redeem me and my day. Thank you so much. Keep flashing your comments, and do forgive me for not quickly and then, summarily responding to your comments. And we should not be, and we should not expect too much of ourselves too soon. It's a gradual process. We cannot learn about one another's culture in a matter of a single day at a stretch. We need to be passionate. We need to exercise a lot of passions. We need to allow time to take its course. And after the time has taken its course and we people start coming closer to one another, we start knowing one another more intimately, we start falling closer to one another's heart, we start having some mind matching, we come to realize that, oh my God, the culture of all of my friends, other people is so beautiful. It's so terrific. It's so amazing. We simply get spellbound once we get to know. And the other person also enjoys realizing the power and beauty of culture of Pakistan. So we should not take our own culture as a yardstick. If we take our own culture as a yardstick, that would not really be good. Intercultural, a comment has come by Ms. Hina Wasif. I agree. Now, intercultural would involve only maybe two countries, the two interlocutors, people from two different lands. Why I use cross-cultural is that cross-cultural would, at a time, you can have friends from all over the world. For example, you might have a friend from South Africa, another from Tanzania, another from Tunisia, another from India, another from Pakistan, another from any other country. So intercultural is different, just a little slightly different from multicultural, because multi would involve more wider audiences, wider interlocutors as compared to intercultural. And we should also learn to realize that no culture in the world is inferior. And we also need to take a step back. What do I mean by taking a step back? Is that we should just not be rushing with an onslaught of our own culture on other people. So we need a lot of humor also. We may smile. You may smile during my presentation. You may laugh now. You may smile now. See, I as a person from Sindhi ethnicity, I might have different, cultural norms, but it does not mean when my Urdu speaking friends wears his or her own cultural dress, I should be equally happy. And when I wear an Ajrak or a Sindhi cap, my Urdu speaking friend, Balochi speaking friend, Pashtun speaking friend should also be equally happy. And this is how we would not only survive together, but we will also be, thriving together. A cross-cultural, culturally competent person, what are the attributes of a cross-culturally competent person? He or she does not insist on changing things. He or she would not like to become a missionary. He or she would not become like a native to a certain degree. or he or she does not carry own cultural beliefs abroad and impose them on others. He or she gets out of his or her own comfort zone. He or she harbors no expectations. He or she remains open. He or she possesses a lot of motivation to know about other cultures, to love other cultures, to adjust to the other cultures, to acclimatize to the newer ways of life. And here, motivation stays as a key. And he or she works hard to learn, makes a conscious effort to assimilate himself in the fabric of other culture where he or she has gone. And he or she does not always look for fun or a holiday. He looks for learning. If you are in any country, in any different culture, in any different state, in any different province, in any other region, just don't pass away your time like nothing. Try to interact with all the people who are local, who are from this very land. So this is how we can not only accept our own culture, but admire the culture of other people, they rightly said in the recent message. Next, please. And then a culturally competent person remains eager for new perspectives in observing differences, understanding those differences, and develops a sense of realism. He or she believes in self-development, independence, and confidence. He or she quickly embraces adaptability and tries to master communication, especially the language skills, and remains non-judgmental. Suspension of judgment is very, very important. And then gives appreciation. Yes, Ms. Hera Asif, you're absolutely right. Malala can be taken as a symbol, yes. And he or she remains self-aware. He or she develops ability. Uh, he or she, 1 minute, I can't see the text. So, okay. So, develops ability to like people and get on with them. He or she loves curiosity. He or she engages in reflective practice. This is, if we do all these things, only then we can qualify as a cross-culturally competent individual. And if we be lacking in all these areas, we really cannot be qualifying as a cross-culturally competent, competent person. Next, please. Darla Djordovs in 2006 gave a model, and I'm sharing this model with you. It is based on 5 elements: attitudes, knowledge, skills, internal outcomes, and external outcomes. This model provides a framework that can be utilized to guide a curriculum that promotes cross-cultural communication or intercultural communication competence and assessment of learning outcomes also. Next, please. Now, the first attribute of this model, there are 3 key attitudes: respect, openness, curiosity. These are very important attitude patterns. And if we be missing in Mr. Edi, yes, there are so many examples, I agree. But if we have respect for other cultures, respect for other countries, respect for other norms, respect for other people, and openness and curiosity. Next, please. Respect demonstrates that we value others who are from different backgrounds. Openness is necessary to move outside of our comfort zones, and curiosity in the internal drive and impetus to understand others. Next. The knowledge, which is the second component of this model, is cultural self-awareness. Culture-specific knowledge, deep cultural knowledge, which means understanding of other worldviews, and socio-linguistic awareness. Next, please. Now, as far as third component of skills is concerned, these skills are very important for us if we truly want to be cross-culturally competent individuals and we want to excel in this world, in careers, in jobs, in employment, in living abroad or surviving abroad, or to be able to succeed in our universities at foreign campuses. We need these skills: observing, listening, evaluating, analyzing, interpreting, and relating. The more we exercise these skills, the quicker we will be able to adjust in all different cultures, among all different people, and we will be a box office hit. Everyone would start loving our presence. And skills as are ongoing processes, yes, they keep growing as we are growing. Of course, they do. I agree. But we need to initiate this process. And once we have been able to initiate this process will naturally by default start flourishing. Yeah, true. Next, please. Now look at this, the same model. I would request you to read the content in the screen. It, repeats the same thing. However, we do not need to be too over judgmental, and we must not be actually losing the opportunities that come our way. If we happen to travel abroad, we need to have this focus in our mind that we need to learn about other people, learn about the land, learn about its beauties, discover the beauties. Recently, I went to Nepal and I went to Pokhara, I went to Butwal, I went to so many other places. I was invited over as a keynote speaker, and I, fostered long-standing friendships. I really love that culture. I was also carried my culture with me. I dressed in my own national costume. I carried my flag, and I started telling them about the history and culture of Pakistan and different all ethnic diversity and how we come together and what it is because of which they should be loving Pakistan. And you will be very glad to know that I left a lot of knowledge and a lot of enthusiasm for them, for Pakistan. And most of those scholars and professors in different universities now wish to come to Pakistan someday, inshallah. Once we will be having that, some international conference coming in or coming up, I would definitely love to invite my colleagues. So yes, Ms. Hina Wasif, we need to find our drive and our motivation too. Because once we have that internal drive and we are motivated to do something, only then we do it to the full scale. Next, please. And fourth is internal. Yes, Salman Saab, you can be a part. I would love to be part of this. Yes, you are already a part. You are very close to my heart, and someday, inshallah, we're gonna meet. And Aisha, thank you so much. You are from my own institute, and I'm so happy to see you in the audience. You are also a highly motivated girl, and you may be impressed with me, but I'm the one who is more impressed by your records, by your accomplishments, by your enthusiasm, by your knowledge, by your willingness to learn. So the attitudes, what are the fourth important pillar of that theoretical framework is internal outcomes. The attitudes, knowledge, and skills lead to an internal outcome. What is that? Once we practice these three things, we become more flexible. There is some internal change within us as people, as individuals. This may be a subconscious, inadvertent process, but we learn. We never know. We may not really be taking a long note about it, but we become more flexible. This is the internal beauty outcome of this. And we become adaptable and we grow more empathetic. This happens by default. How? If we practice the attitudes of knowledge and skills. Our attitude is appropriate, our knowledge is okay, and we have the right skills that I shared with you. We'll somehow get to be more flexible, more adjustable, and more empathetic. Next, please. Now, what are the external benefits? The external benefits are that our behavior and communication skills demonstrated by us are based on our attitudes, knowledge, skill, and internal outcomes are the external outcome experienced by others. Others feel more comfortable with us. The effective and appropriate behavior and communication are the visible external outcomes of this kind of intercultural and cross-cultural communication competence. We become more effective our behavior becomes far, way better than it earlier was. And this makes us click with all kinds of people in almost all kinds of cultures. Next, please. Thank you. Now, how can we create and promote cross-cultural communication competence in English language classrooms? This is another additional aspect that I'm discussing. Those of us who are teachers, or those of us who are pre-service teachers, the in-service teachers, are planned to be teachers in the immediate or remote future. For them, I have this special package, and I would love to share with them how this kind of environment can be practiced in our classrooms and how we can help youth develop this kind of cross-cultural competence so that once they travel abroad in pursuit of either their own degrees and education or in pursuit of employment, they become instant hits once they land there. So next, please. We can have students reflect on their personal identities and cultures. We should be encouraging students to prepare family trees and research personal history to compare and find commonalities. For example, in one classroom, you can tell everybody to write a single page about who she is, who they are, who he is. And in the end, you might ask your student, direct your students to, swap those pages with one another so that they get to know one another more fully. Next, I'm little conscious of time also. And we can also think pair share in a small group. For example, this will help students know one another, value diversity, and promote inclusiveness. Next. We can rearrange our classroom layout. For example, we can always keep rotating. We'll bring students. So what happens actually is that I've seen in my university experience that all students, if there are 100 plus students or below 100 students, around 80 students, there is something about human nature that they walk with the same people all 4 years. They stay with the same people all 4 years. They form groups and never try to get out of those groups. And in this way, earn themselves the biggest disfavor of not knowing 95 other people because they chose to live with only 5 people all through their 4 academic years. And they somehow tended to take the same seat all 4 years. They wouldn't even bother changing their seat in a classroom. So what we can do is that we can bring bigger chunks of students to take front seats first and then in the middle and then in the end. And the next day, the next group should come in the front, go in the middle and go to the back side, extreme back. And this way, if we keep rotating the seating order in our classrooms, and we must insist on students to change their neighbors. For example, if 5 students were sitting together in one day, you should not allow the same 5 students to sit together one more time the second day. We can change so that they get to know one another. And this is how you will bring about, make friendships in a classroom. People will start learning about themselves. And this would be, to me, I have tried it so many times. I practice it always. And this is what makes me, if I'm considered, if at all, a good teacher, it's because I have these kind of things that I got to do in our classroom. Why we make students hostile to one another? Why should they be, stay alien to one another for all 4-6 years? Why not they get to know one another, start loving one another, start appreciating one another's, personal abilities, acumen, and skill sets. So next, please. Number 4 is incorporate team building exercises into lesson plans. How? We can say this will turn the class into a community. You say, okay, one group will work with the next group. They should interact with one another. This group will work with that group. This pair will work with that pair. That group will work with that pair. Bring them together through your own classroom assignments. And this will turn the class into a community. And it will help students foster lifelong relationships through team building experiences. Next, please. Interact with the students from different regions and countries. As a teacher, make a point of talking to, approaching each student. Constitute cross-cultural, if we sanction with our job, I can change our students' mind. Yeah, Salma. Yes, Miss Salma, you can, and you will, I'm sure. This will we can do by constituting cross-cultural student groups For example, you may pick up 2 students from Thar region, 2 students from Jacobabad region, 2 students from Latifabad, Hyderabad, another 2 students from Thata. Make sure whenever you are forming groups, you must not form groups just by because they were sitting together. But if you introduce these diverse ethnicities and let them work together, they will get to know about one another's culture. A student from Thar will somehow, one way or the other, directly or indirectly, share his own culture with a student from Jacobabad, from extreme Uttar side, the east of Eastern Sindh. And similarly from Middle Sindh, somebody from, Saidabad or from Moro. This way we can take some students from Karachi. And if you are teaching in Islamabad, you can teach some students from Sindh, from all different provinces of Pakistan. And if you are teaching in, say, for example, Paris, you should take people from different continents and different countries. And if you develop these groups, this will be a love, pure love. Next, please. Now, developmental model of cross-cultural communication sensitivity. Many people tend to stay at different levels of cross-cultural communication. To help visualize where you are, we need to look at this model that was developed in 1986 by Milton Benet. And there are 6 stages to achieving cross-cultural mindset. Next, please. Yeah, thank you. Stage 1 is denial. This is the ability to recognize the more observable cultural differences, but we may avoid or withdraw. We deny. We don't want to learn about the culture of other people, and we need to overcome this stage. We need to realize the fact that we as humans need to know and learn about the culture of other people, friends, and we need to cross over, step over this stage of denial. That's very important. Next. Stage 2 is polarization, a judgmental orientation that views cultural differences in terms of us and them. At stage 1, we are not at all willing to learn about the culture of other people. But at this stage, we still tend to be different. We say, okay, my culture is superior to them. And we are still not crossed that boundary of us and them. And we defend critical view of other cultures, reversal, critical view of one's own cultural values and not critical of the other. We need to cross over all these boundaries. So we need to cross the boundary of denial. Then we also need to cross the boundary of polarization. Next, please. And third is minimization. At this stage, we see cultural commonality and universal values that may also mask deeper recognition and appreciation of cultural differences. We are now ready and willing, and we also learn to respect other culture, but we are still not willing to accept it and enjoy it. And at this stage, instead of minimization, we need to maximize. Next, please. And the fourth is acceptance. Here we recognize and appreciate patterns of cultural differences and commonalities in one's own and other cultures. This is a success stage. Next, please. Then we start adapting. This is the ability, our ability to shift cultural perspectives and change behaviors in culturally appropriate and authentic ways. Next, please. The example of adaptation is that my Urdu speaking friend would love start wearing an ajrak and I would start wearing a kurta pajama. I wore a Nepalese cap when I was there and my Nepalese friends were wearing Jinnah cap. Now this is where we start adapting after acceptance. And at last stage, we are able to move smoothly in and out of different cultural worldviews. And we develop a feeling of membership in a new culture. Next, please. These are some challenges. I'm about to finish. I would give you a quick run-in. There are certain challenges to cross-cultural communication competence, which we need to know, identify, and overcome. These are stereotyping and prejudices that may lead to negative inferences, over-reliance on human universals without paying attention to cultural differences, lack of awareness of cultural differences, especially in underlying values and patterns of thinking, indiscriminate application of one's own cultural practices. These are some of the challenges that we need to know and overcome. Next, please. Conclusion is we need to value the importance of diversity and inclusion in classrooms and in our daily lives. Our vision should be to work as a force for good that connects students through trusted relationship, that connects all people of the world as into trusted relationships to foster human understanding and create a peace around the world and create a much better and happier world for all of us to live in. I thank you very much for your attention listening. We have started on the dot and I finished on the dot.
Thank you very much, sir, for being so nifty and so on the dot. Please accept my warmest of appreciation and congratulations for teaching all of us once again at this platform. We have chat room full of appreciation and gratitude for the way you delivered today and the content you have shared with all of us. Only one question I could found, and that is from Ms. Aisha Shoro. And she's asking how to overcome the barriers of cross-cultural communication. Not everyone in this world is so kind like you. People out there are creating conflicts and stereotypes. How to stop these negative thoughts about cultures?
Yeah, that's a very important question. The first thing is willingness. We should be willing. We should know that all people in the world cannot be same. We should be knowing that differences are the beauty of human relationships. God is the greatest artist in the world. He has created so many colors, so many languages, so many regions. It is God who has created all this diversity. He is the one who has created mountains and birds and flocks and animals and oceans and seas and rivers and lakes and streams and ponds and birds and bees. If God had created only one thing and the world would have been unicolor, the world would have ceased to be as miraculous and marvelous as it is today. Same is the case with us humans. We all have different temperaments. We all have different cultural norms. We all have different identities. We all have different priorities. We all have different choices. We all have different, preferences. And we should not be hating anyone. So the first stage, I would say, is willingness and realization that inclusiveness and diversity is what makes life so beautiful. And when I wear a pink suit, people come and ask me, "You are wearing pink." I said, "So what's wrong with it?" So they say, "But it's a female color." I said, "Who has decided it's a female color? Why stereotyping? I mean, why not a girl? If girls can wear black and hardcore colors, why not we go for softcore colors? We need to get out of this cocoon and shell. It has been enough. Enough is enough. Thus, after willingness, acceptance, willingness, then we need to make an effort. As I say, if we remain in our comfort zone, we'll never be able to do it. Next time when I visit you, Dr. Hena, I can come that wearing something which my Punjabi well-wishers and friends enjoy. Because when I visit your home, if I come in a Punjabi dress, you will truly love it. Somehow you will say, "Oh my God, see, sir is such a gentleman." Why? Because I should be hating any culture at all. And this is where we can cross these boundaries that have been created by our enemies. I believe that integration, even our national integration in Pakistan, is also possible by identifying those barriers, those challenges, and overcoming those challenges. I understand there would always be political differences. Let them be where they are. But at least as people, we would love one another. So after willingness, acceptance, effort. effort. Nothing comes to a person who would keep sleeping through the day. Effort. And after effort, we should follow that, very precise, which I've discussed with you today. There's so many different models, and there are more commonalities among us than differences. And even when there are differences to us, not to our creator. You find people from all different regions and countries, they're so loving. So I think, and I can explain, she says she loves my unique dressing. Yeah, thank you so much, Aisha. And I hope that I like yours also. Yeah. Yeah.
Now people are discussing your yellow color coat, which demonstrates
Right.
well with your thoughts. Fine, sir. Thank you very much. I'm very sure this 1 hour is enough to transform the thoughts of the people and eliminate biases and assumption from all of us. And I believe we'll be able to embrace the people who are, as they are, and we'll be able to live a better life. And this is going to make this world a better place. Thank you very much for helping us out in knowing the broader picture.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
God bless everyone in the audience, and especially you, Ms. Hannah. You have now become a unifying factor, our cultural ambassador all
Thank
over
you
the.
very much. Thank you very much, sir. This is what we learn from teachers like you.
Sorry, I have to be in another international webinar. It's taking place in Kuwait. So
Right.
colleagues are waiting there. So I'll be begging your leave.
Thank you very much, sir. It was an honor to have you with us.
I enjoyed each moment of this presentation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir.